Hello, welcome to the Peace Among Friends podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today is Tuesday, and on Tuesdays, we focus on skill building. Today, we will be adding a new section to our Tuesdays discussions, and we're going to be looking at just an interesting research article that I found as I was looking up the information today, getting my refresher on everything, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. There's always a lot of interesting research going on out there. So, wanted to bring that into our discussion. So, today we're going to be talking about grounding techniques. And grounding techniques are very useful. They are generally something that's going to help you if you're in a state of distress. So, this could be like an anxiety situation. If you're having like a panic attack, it's very useful. If you're having dissociative symptoms, it can also be useful. Essentially, grounding techniques are anything to get you back into the present moment. So it's a way to help your mind to calm down and to get back to what we kind of call baseline. So, before I get too far into it, I want to talk about some of the science behind it. So, essentially, what happens is whenever something stressful is going on around us, or even if our brain just perceives something as being stressful around us, our amygdala is a section of our brain located in the temporal lobe, and it starts to go into action. So, it's going to be responsible, that part of our brain is responsible for our emotional response and specifically our fear response. So that's why whenever, we're in a state of anxiety or a state of a panic attack, we are fearful. We're feeling that, fear coming to us. That can also express itself physically. So whenever we're scared, we might, have sweaty palms. We'd feel our heart racing, our breathing might change. So that kind of fear response will start setting in. So even though, nothing might actually be happening around us, sometimes our brain can activate that fear response anyways. So it's kind of our brain saying, hey, 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 danger, 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 Will Robinson. And so that would, again, you might have increased muscle tension, your breathing would get faster, that kind of a thing. So your amygdala then is going to interpret these body changes and it's going to show evidence to it that something is wrong. There's danger, danger. So we introduce grounding techniques as a way to deactivate that part of our brain that's firing. So it's our way of telling our brain, hey, everything's okay. So we're refocusing our attention to our body and what we're physically feeling so we can get out of that headspace and we can tell our amygdala, hey, everything's cool. It's all good. We're chill. And again, these types of techniques are good to use if you if you are experiencing anxiety. They're very helpful with people experiencing active PTSD. They can, help that part of your brain to calm down because that's the part of your brain that's hyperactive, as we would say. It's firing too much because your brain has perceived a very serious, stressful event. And so your brain is trying to protect you from experiencing that event again. So that's why we use them, and that's the times to use them. Okay. Now, on this channel on Thursdays, what we do is, we do our meditations on Thursdays. So last week we did a guided imagery where we were floating amongst the clouds. It was very nice, very peaceful. I enjoyed doing it as well. And this week we're going to do some practical application for grounding techniques. But I did want to talk a little bit about some of the things you can do today. So one of the most popular techniques that is usually taught in therapy is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's something that we're going to be also practicing on Thursday, but I'm just going to do a quick overview today. So the first thing that you would do is think or find around you 5 things that you can see. So you can look, just wherever you are, just name out loud, even if you can, 5 things that you can see. And you want to try to think about, positive things. I've had a client before who did this exercise and was in an active state of psychosis, and there was a pair of scissors around her. And all she could do was focus in on that scissors. And, I was able to, see that, move the scissors away because we were doing some kind of craft exercise. And I think that really triggered her. So we, moved that away and then had her start over. Okay, what are the 5 other things you can see? So just in that instance, if you're doing this, you want to look, make sure that you're in a safe place. You want to make sure that there's nothing around you that's going to continue to trigger you. So especially if something, in the room you're in is triggering you, you want to take your attention off of that. So maybe go to a different place. Maybe, if you have to even go to a bathroom or something, if you're in public, just something where you can find a safe space for yourself and doesn't have anything triggering around you. So, if you would be even in a bathroom, you would say, okay, I see, white toilet paper. I see, the ground, say the color of the ground. Try to be specific with what you're seeing around you. And then next, so that would be 5 things you see. And then next you would do 4 things you can feel. So that could be, if you're sitting in a chair, what texture is the material of your chair? If you, have on a jacket, you can feel your, jacket, you can feel your sleeves, talk to yourself about what does that material feel like? If you need to touch your skin, you can say, okay, what does my skin feel like? What does the air on my skin feel like? Touch a table. What does this table feel like? What is the texture like on it? That's one of my favorite things to do. Just if I need a quick, I need to get back to baseline, I'll just touch a table. A lot of people like to touch a tree too. That can be really helpful. If you're outside, you can use a leaf, you can use the grass, anything, and you know yourself best. So, of course, if, things like that trigger you, like a tree is triggering to you, or if the grass is, then avoid the grass. Do what's going to work for you. So then we would do 3 things that we can hear. So again, if I've had a client before where she was triggered by bird sounds, you would not want to focus on the bird sounds. You would want to go to a place where you're not around the birds anymore. And then you would want to, even if it's the sound of your own voice, if you want to hum, you can say, I can hear myself humming. If you, want to tap your foot on the ground, you can do that. If you, hear any just white noise, you'd want to hone in on that sound to kind of get your brain back to that base level of calm. And then after that, you would do 2 things that you can smell. Hopefully it's nothing stinky. A lot of people find essential oils to be really helpful for that too. I've worked with different therapists who would keep different oils just in the therapy room in case they had a client who, was having that emotional triggered response by something that they were talking about. They could calm themselves down by smelling oils. I've had clients before who really liked having lotions in their purse and, or just their pocket or anything. They would just, pull out their lotion. If they were having a tough time, they would pull out the lotion and just smell it. And that would really help. So, think of things like that. If you know that you have anxiety a good bit, that could be something to look into, maybe like a perfume or just something that you could have that you can keep with you. So if you're in a place where you're feeling a lot of anxiety, you can take that second and do a couple deep breaths and just enjoy that smell that, makes you happy. And then the last thing is name 1 thing that you can taste. So this could be, just the taste in your mouth. Maybe it's the last thing that you ate or drank. Can kind of help you get back into that, state of being in touch with your body, being in touch with the moment that you're in. I've had clients before who liked mints. Not everyone can chew gum, so mints are sometimes helpful and kind of change the taste in your mouth and make it a little bit more, easy to recognize. So again, that is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. I wanted to do a couple, extra notes in there because I'm not actually with you guys. So, you know yourself best. If you, know things around you are triggering you, then that's your time to go to a different place if you need to and try out this technique. It's really, really helpful for a lot of people just in getting you to calm down, get more focused, and get back in touch with your body and allowing your, amygdala section of your brain to understand, hey, I'm not in danger right now. Everything's okay. So again, that's 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And again, on Thursday, we're going to go over some more practical application of grounding techniques. If you need a little extra help or just want to, not do it by yourself, get some extra practice in. And it's a good thing to kind of work into your day, especially if you work in like a high stress environment or if you just have a lot of stress going on in your life right now. It's kind of a good way to bring you back down to baseline. Research has shown that grounding can actually improve your sleep cycles. It helps to normalize the day night cortisol rhythm that we have. It can help to reduce stress. It helps to shift the automatic nerve system from sympathetic back towards the parasympathetic activation, which I talked about. I believe it was last week, and our first show, actually, we talked a lot about that, how that parasympathetic and sympathetic nerve system reacts. I'll go ahead and link that video in the top corner right now if you want to check it out. Okay, so here's a good time for us to introduce our new segment. And this is where I'm going to be talking about just interesting research articles that I found. So the one we're talking about today it's kind of based on grounding techniques and it's a little bit different. So that's why I thought it would be interesting to talk about. So this was a research article looking at the effects of an earthing grounding technique, specifically on inflammation, the immune response, wound healing, and the prevention and treatment of chronic inflammatory and autoimmune disease. So, in this article, they were talking about something like a grounding technique specifically called earthing. So, in this technique, it referred to the direct skin contact with the surface of the earth. So, it was like bare feet or with your hands and using literally the earth, literally the ground. So I thought this was really interesting, and I have this article linked down below if you guys would want to check it out. But I do warn you that there are some graphic medical images in this article, so do not click that link if that is something that is triggering to you. They show people with like opened wounds. There is some graphic nature in that. I don't want to say the word that is there because that word can be triggering to people. But if anything with medical stuff or anything like that triggers you, avoid looking at this article. Just listen and I'll tell you what it's about. So their hypothesis for this article is it says, after an injury, an ungrounded person, which they have adorably named Mr. Shoes, will form an inflammatory barricade around the injury site. Whereas after an injury and the grounded person, whose name is Mr. Barefoot, also adorable, will not form an inflammatory barricade because reactive oxygen species that could damage nearby healthy tissue, considered collateral damage, are immediately neutralized by electrons semiconducted from the electron-saturated ground substance via the collagen network. Now, let me tell you the best thing that I found about this article is they have these like little stick figures that they use to represent Mr. Shoes and Mr. Barefoot. And I'm going to put them up on the screen on the YouTube version of this podcast. And it is adorable. Whoever was in charge of drawing the stick figures for this research study, I'm a 10 out of 10. Like, give this person a raise. They did a fantastic job. They are so cute. Mr. Shoes is very sad and Mr. Barefoot is very happy. So essentially what they say is when you're wearing shoes, You're blocking your body's ability to get certain, I guess, electrical reactions and electrons that are in the ground. Like you're not able to connect to them. But if you are barefoot or you're touching the ground with your hands, then those electrons are semiconducted through collagen. And they stated in this article that that would neutralize free radicals that would otherwise damage nearby healthy tissue. So, therefore, since there's no inflammatory barricade, there's no inflammation, which is interesting, very interesting. They have a lot of numbers here showing, the different phosphate ratios, pre-post tests for each group. It's a very interesting article because part of me, when I was reading it, was wondering, well, how much of this is electrons from the ground, and how much of it is just, people activating the grounding technique response to begin with, because that response in itself has found to reduce inflammation, reduce stress. And I could see just that in itself, activating a more healing response and being able to heal quicker because, your body's not stressed out. You're not in a state of panic, especially if you, have a wound or something in danger, then that's going to stress you out. And your body would naturally, divert some of its naturally working systems to calming you down or getting out of a sense of danger, like your amygdala would have its danger response activated. So it very much could be that just by like calming down in that situation would help people heal more quickly. But yeah, very interesting article. So they said, that there's these specific electrons in the ground that are helping to reduce inflammation. Very, very interesting article. So I would love to hear some of you guys' thoughts on that. What do you think about this activity? If any of you want to go touch the ground, tell me what you experience. Can you feel any electrons? I would think not. I believe even in the article they say that, the electrons are under the baseline of perception. But yeah, very interesting. So the conclusion of this article says specifically, okay, so blah, blah, blah. Okay, sorry, I've read this article like 10 times. My brain is like, what? So the conclusion states, accumulating experiences and research on earthing or grounding point to the emergence of a simple, natural, and accessible health strategy against chronic inflammation, warranting the serious attention of clinicians and researchers. The living matrix, or ground regulation, or tissue tensegrity matrix system, is the very fabric of body and appears to serve as one of our primary antioxidant defense systems. As this report explains, it is a system requiring occasional recharging by conductive contact with the Earth's surface, the battery for all planetary life to be optimally effective. And what's really interesting is right underneath here, it says that the people who made this article are independent contractors for a company called EarthFix. So that to me is interesting. I'm about to Google. I didn't see that beforehand. Let's Google what EarthFix is. So it looks like EarthFix Inc. is an integrated hydrological service and software system. Okay. Looking at their website right now, and it looks like they do a lot of research on this grounding technique. Oh, they do a lot of other stuff. They also do integrated water resources, watershed planning, information on energy and mining. Okay, so they do some thermal impact assessments and below water table aggregate extraction Interesting. Okay. So this article is very interesting. I have not seen an article like this in quite a while where I was just like, what is going on over here? So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that there could be something to this? Have you ever heard about this before? Because I had never heard about anything about this before. So, yeah, what are some of you guys' thoughts? Also, on this channel, every week we do a challenge. So, last week we talked about goal setting, and I challenged you guys to, come up with a goal using the SMART goal technique that we talked about. And I gave you guys some examples. And, if you were able to come up with something, that's awesome. If you want to, post about it in that video or in this one, either way is cool. So to share my goal, I've been going back to the gym. So my son started going back to school last week or actually about 3 weeks ago now. And he started going back just Monday, Tuesday. So I just started working that in with a new gym routine. So I started just going, dropping him off at school and then immediately going to the gym for an hour afterwards. So this week he is going back 4 days a week. So my new goal for my gym routine is I will go to the gym 4 days a week for 1 hour. So that's going to be my new routine. I'm a little nervous. I did it this morning and feeling the burn. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm, trying to, make it work with my new schedule and keep everything nice and organized for myself. So that is the goal that I'm doing using the SMART goal technique. And again, if you'd like to share yours, comment down below. So, our challenge for this week is for you guys to try out some grounding techniques. So, if you want to try that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, comment down below. Let us know how it went, what was going on that made you need to use it. Obviously, try not to write anything that could be triggering to people in the comment section. I try to keep an eye on that just in case. And yeah, I would love to hear your guys' responses, hear if it was something that you were able to use that was new and helpful in any way. And again, on Thursday, we're going to be doing some more practical application. So if you're a little confused on how to do it by yourself, then come back Thursday. We're going to be doing the grounding techniques together. And yeah, that's what we got going on. Tomorrow, which is Wednesday, we're going to be starting a new segment. It's going to be called Wildcard Wednesday. I'm very excited about this because I, started this podcast doing the skill building on Tuesday and the meditation on Thursday, but I wanted to kind of add something just a little bit more interesting that would be a little bit more, I guess pop culture kind of related or just, something interesting, some controversy possibly of like the psychological community. There's a lot of controversy. Trust me, there is a lot. So this week is going to be our first segment doing the Wildcard Wednesday. So if you'd like to come back Wednesday and check it out, we look forward to seeing you then. No matter what, thank you so much for being here and just congratulations on taking this time to work on your mental health. It does take a lot of bravery and self-love to take care of yourself, and I congratulate you on that and give yourself a pat on the back. Congratulate yourself as well, and we look forward to seeing you next time.